Night. And let's turn over to the other side of the studio because it's time for Media Watch. James Creedon's here. Hi, James.
Hi, Nadia.
You're starting us off then with this interview in the Le Monde newspaper talking about sexual harassment in Francophone Africa and perhaps the beginnings of the Me Too movement there as well.
That's right, an in-depth interview with one of the people who was kind of at the origins of I suppose West Africa's answer to Me Too. So just to give the backstory, first of all, she's an actress by the name of Azato Soro from Burkina Faso, and she decided to break her silence earlier this year about years of harassment, sexual harassment and worse, in physical assault even, by one particularly well-known Burkinabe director, and this is a photo of him. It's Tahirou Tassere Ouedraogo, and so you can see here that she has a scar on her cheek. What happened was in September 2017, he assaulted her with a broken bottle. There has since been a court case and he got a 1-year suspended sentence for that physical assault. He still denies, though, that there was any long, prolonged sexual harassment. So she spoke to Le Monde about the backstory, and of course, as is always the issue with these sort of issues, it's one person's word against another's. But her story is very shocking, and she said, "I have difficulty looking at myself in the mirror. When I smile, I can feel the scar, and it reminds me of what happened." She spoke about 6 years of harassment before. In the 7th year, she was assaulted in 2017. Threats, phone calls, blackmail, and it culminated when she threatened. She was working for various productions that he was the director of. The most recent one was a series called the Throne, nothing to do with the other Throne series. But in any case, what happened in the aftermath of her finally speaking out is that we are seeing the beginnings of something that could be described as similar to Me Too. Now, there was a petition launched at this year's FESPACO, which is one of Africa's biggest film festivals. It's in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, every year. She spoke out about her experience, about what has been happening, and in fact, the Collectif des Cinéastes Non Alignés, which is an African sort of association of people involved in cinema, they launched this petition and you can see it got 2,300 signatures. It's not a huge amount, but it is also, I suppose, a smaller cinema sort of world than, say, in France or in Hollywood or whatever. But it did get the ball rolling, I suppose, in terms of trying to draw attention to what had happened to her and the broader issue of sexual assault in the world of cinema in Africa. Now, in the aftermath of that, the Cannes Film Festival saw another actress, Nadège Bosson-Diagne, launch a hashtag, Not Even Afraid, Même Pas Peur. So again, very much in the vein of Me Too and the French equivalent, Balance ton port. Now, it hasn't really taken off. There has been a certain amount of traction online, but we're not seeing the level of momentum that we saw with Balance ton port in France or Me Too in the US. But we have seen other consequences. For example, TV5 Monde, one of the biggest French-speaking channel in the world, they are now refusing to take on the second season of Le Trône. And so there have been other kind of industry reactions like that have seen the director in question taken to task. He was questioned by Le Monde Afrique recently, that publication, Tahirou Tassere Ouedraogo, and he said, "These are just childlike stories that she made up about me, and the scar on her face was made out of horse meat. I'm going to the Cannes Film Festival, and for me, life will go on." So, I mean, there was a court case over that physical assault, and he was sentenced to 1-year suspended sentence, but he's denying a lot of the rest. But at least it's getting the ball rolling in terms of people coming out with these stories, despite a huge amount of fear remaining. Yeah,
very interesting story. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention from Le Monde. Thank you very much, James. And then just before you leave us then, something quite different then, to The Atlantic in the United States, which is publishing a piece showing us some of those stereotypes about air travel. It struck a chord and it's gone a bit viral online.
This is really funny. It's really worth taking the time to read this piece. There are two types of airport people. I think we kind of know which category we fall into, or maybe there's some people somewhere in the middle, but generally it's people rushing at the last minute.
That's me.
Panicked. It's me too. Apparently we're type B personalities. In any case, it's not hard to spot people about to miss a flight. They're weaving between on-time travellers at a speed somewhere between a power walk and a sprint, or they're elbow dancing their way to the front of the line to plead their case for immediate screening. They look panicked, maybe red-faced.
Yeah, very very familiar to me.
And you're even wearing red this evening.
It all fits.
But what it's talking about here is how one category of person generally can't understand the other, and those who are, just about making their flight on time think, well, that's fantastic. I didn't have to wait around in this awful environment for 3 hours pointlessly. But then others are, of course, thinking, all sorts of things could go wrong on the way to the airport. Why would you leave so little time when you could obviously miss your flight? And then often you sometimes do miss your flight.
It's happened to me for France 24 quite recently.
Oh, gosh. I missed a flight to Tokyo once. I was, I did luckily manage to get out of having to pay for another ticket. But they did speak to a guy called Johnny Gherkin at the University of North Carolina. He's a psychiatrist who said it's actually some sort of reaction to anxiety in both cases. People dealing with stress in different ways. I suppose you have people who kind of leave things to the last minute because they like a bit of a pressure to get the job done, and then others who want to be very prepared in advance. And apparently that ties in with, people who are, yes, according to Jeffrey Conte, type A personalities who tend to be impatient and ambitious or are often punctual, and type Bs who tend to be more relaxed and less neurotic, who generally arrive later.
I'm certainly late, so that much fits. I don't know whether I'll take the neurosis.
Maybe we shouldn't overly categorise excessively, but it's a funny article.
And it's making waves online.
Yes.
All right, we'll check it out. Thank you very much. James Creedon there with our Media Watch this evening.